Retail employees, what are your Black Friday horror stories? I managed a Radio Shack store in a mall. An old lady came in with her walker for a new battery for her cordless phone, completely oblivious to what day it was. She asked me if the mall was always so busy. Back in my poor college days when I worked at Walmart, we had a fight break out over a bike. Fists were thrown and there was some blood. Eventually one guy got a hold of it and managed to get away from the crowd. He rode the bike out of the store to flee his pursuers, without paying. When I worked at Sam's Club, during the madness one Black Friday morning, we caught a woman stuffing the inside of her pants with frozen lobster tail. She would unpackage them and throw the trash in a stack of tires that were on display. What's one school or workplace rule that absolutely backfired? A few years ago we weren't allowed to stand in groups bigger than 4 at our school because this old teacher told us it was gang behavior and encouraging gang violence. One day my entire year of over 100 people got in a massive group screaming "gang gang" and throwing gang signs on our school field, so they had to bring every single teacher out to try and split us apart for a straight 20 minutes, best school day ever. My old boss tried implementing an incentive scheme for the underperformers while anyone who consistently did well received nothing. 3 of us quit within a month. No cell phones in high school, security collected them when you walked in, put them in Ziploc bags and locked them up. They lost like 5 people's phones. Doctors, have any of your patients surprised you with their pain tolerance? Emergency doctor here. I saw a 50-year-old guy with a massive heart attack just lying there. Ask him his pain level, deadpan, just a little. A 5-year-old boy with both forearm bones fractured and dislocated, playing on iPad with other arm. A 60-year-old lady slips, falls, destroys pelvic bone, just wants one Tylenol and scooches out of bed wanting to walk home. After much convincing, she begrudgingly accepted that might not be a great idea. There are some badass people out there. Working in a hospital has taught me the downside of abusing painkillers. Patients constantly come in here with long-term substance abuse issues, and now that they are actually hurt, like broken bones, you can give them enough drugs to put down a horse and they still feel everything. What have you witnessed that made you realize he or she is really smart? Lazy people are the best at this. I witnessed a kindergartner who couldn't draw straight lines, keep his pencil still and drag the paper around to draw a triangle. I had a teacher in high school that using both hands could write a sentence starting from the beginning and end simultaneously. He even split the middle word of the sentence. He also spoke around 5 languages. Someone who doesn't engage with overdramatic, argumentative people, how's the saying go? An idiot will bring you down to their level and win. Smart people just avoid it and know how and when to keep their mouth closed. Smart people tend not to have extreme opinions. Anyone that can discuss something they are against without turning argumentative has my respect. Doctors who deliver babies, what are some funny things people have screamed? When I was born, my dad didn't know that babies are usually born face down, and as I was coming out he screams, "Oh my God, she doesn't have a face." When my first child was born his head was kind of misshapen, and when the doctor lifted him up to show my wife she yelled, "Why does he look like a raptor?" I lost it. I was high on meds at the time. I was begging for barbecue ribs in between contractions. "Come on, honey, the nurses will never know." They were standing right there. Patient fully dilated, started pushing, then changed her mind. "I don't want to do this, I'm going home," and then tried to get off the table. Parents, how did your child's significant other win you over? Pecan pie, yes, fixing computers helped, yes, him being a nice guy helped, but I swear my husband won over my entire family and extended family on his pie alone. Quote from every family meal ever before we got married, "Is your boyfriend coming? Is he bringing that pecan pie? Now that we are married, hey, where's his pecan pie? You know you married a winner there, he makes great pies." Mine bonded with my dad immediately by their mutual hatred of my older sister's baby daddy. My younger sister also had a trash boyfriend, so when mine showed up with a car, a stable job, and actually treated me with respect, it was like a miracle. Apparently, making her smile, it seems that it was pretty rare enough for her mother to actually be surprised to see her smile. Emergency personnel of Reddit, what's the dumbest situation you've been dispatched to? Report of a woman drowned in shallow water off the south shore of Long Island. It was a semi-deflated inflatable doll. I called because I found my elderly neighbor lying on the ground outside. She was slurring, dizzy, and unable to get up. I thought she had a stroke. they got there and were talking to her for a few minutes before telling me that she was just drunk. I worked at a vet clinic that received a report from the local overnight emergency vet for a dog the owners thought was having a seizure in the middle of the night. The dog was diagnosed with dreaming. Doctors, have you ever witnessed a childbirth that was obviously not the father's? I had a vasectomy. While chatting with the doctor, he told me about another patient. This guy had 3 kids and came in for the snip because he and his wife decided they were done having children. The doc opened up his sack and found nothing to snip. This guy was born without the ability to have any children and the poor doctor had to explain to him what happened. Imagine finding that out that way. Had a lesbian couple come in, one of them was pregnant, neither knew. Judging from all the screaming, this information was poorly received. Happened to a dude I knew. He got his girlfriend pregnant just as he was about to break up with her. She was trashy and he came from a rich family, but he did the right thing. Turns out that the kid wasn't his, so he kicked them both out. When was your biggest, I should not be laughing, moment? A little girl in my hometown had cancer, and there were massive fundraisers for her for years. The day she died, my coworker said, "I want my money back," and I laughed so hard I almost lost my job. I was at a wake for a friend's grandmother. Out of nowhere, I hear someone across the hall yell, "Who the hell pooped in the VCR player?" I lost it. I have no idea if someone actually did or if it was a funeral home worker or what. But the randomness of it made me laugh uncontrollably for a solid couple of minutes. I was surprised I was the only one. Everyone else was talking softly or crying. I was laughing loudly and uncontrollably. At a funeral, the catered food was exceptionally tasty. My dad leans over and says, "Man, he should die more often." Hardest I've ever tried to keep a straight face. What would be a funny thing to say to a surgeon before anesthesia kicks in? The last time I tried to say something funny right before surgery, I said, "Go easy on me, doc, it's my first time." I gave a little chuckle and so did the doctor. He then picked up a scalpel and said, "Don't worry, it's my first time too," and I promptly blacked out. Awful lot of white people in here, me, after being sedated for a colonoscopy. How do you keep a surgeon in suspense? When I got my wisdom teeth out, the dentist's office was right next to a funeral home. I told the guy that if anything went horribly wrong, they could just take me next door. Mother and doctor were not amused. I had a parent get mad because I failed her kid's paper. Don't you know that can hurt their self-esteem? My response of maybe he should have done the work didn't help. She threatened to go to the school board, the mayor, and the superintendent in that order. At conferences this year, a parent came in irate about the fact that his daughter had to learn Obama math. I tried to keep a straight face until he was done. When I reminded him that I'm the history teacher, he never did go see the math teacher, and I never did figure out what Obama math is. My wife, a high school teacher, loves to talk about the time she had parent-teacher conferences and a 14-year-old boy sat in his father's lap throughout the entire conference. Incredibly awkward.